Howdy y'all, today we're going to be doing half angle properties, and half angle properties are very similar to double angle properties, except for the fact that we have the square root sign and this plus and minus right here. We're going to figure out what to do with that plus and minus here in a minute, but why don't we go ahead and get started. First off, I'm going to find the exact value of the sign of 22.5. Now if we had typed this into our calculator, we're going to get a non-ending decimal. So why don't we try and use our half angle properties up here to do it. So I know that the sine of 1/2 of x, let me find my cursor, oh here it is, the sine of 1/2 of x is equal to plus or minus, that's what the symbol is, the square root of 1/2 of 1 minus cosine of x. And something we need to take notice of is the fact that the x on the left hand side, or this guy, is going to be twice as big as the x on the left hand side. So right side is twice as big as left side. And I have forgotten to close my parentheses. Okay, so to get started, the sine of 22.5 is going to be equal to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 minus the cosine of 2 times 22.5, or 45. So once again, guys, the right-hand side is going to be twice as big as the left-hand side of our equation. So we're going to go ahead and simplify this. It's still equal to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 minus. I know that the cosine of 45 is 1 over root 2. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and draw your triangle and find me what the cosine of 45 is. Now, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this even further to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 minus 1 over 2 square root of 2. I just distributed that 1/2. And I'm going to leave it like this. This is as simplified as I want it right now. But now I need to remember what to do with that plus or minus. So I'm going to remember that all students take calculus. And I'm interested in the sine of 22.5. So 22.5 is going to be in the first quadrant because it's in between 0 and 90. And in the first quadrant, all of the trig functions are positive. And reiterate, in the second quadrant, only sine, third tangent, and fourth cosine. In the first quadrant, all of them are positive, so that means I need to choose the positive one. So it's positive square root of 1/2 minus 1 over 2 root 2. And you guys don't need to write the positive sign, but if it is negative, be sure you do write the negative. The positive would just have been understood. Okay, let's move on. We're going to simplify the sine of 21 over 1 plus the cosine of 21. Now, if I scroll back up here, I notice that looks a whole lot like the tangent. And it looks like this formula right here. So, I know we go ahead and scroll back down without making a horrible mess of our paper. So, this looks like tangent. Looks like tangent. Okay, so I know that this is going to be, I know that the tan of 1/2 x is equal to the sine of x over 1 plus the cosine of x. So on our right-hand side, it's going to be twice as big as our left-hand side. So that means I need to divide 21 by 2. So I know that x is equal to 21 over here, but I'm interested in 21 over 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and this simplifies down to 10.5. So this is just going to be the tangent of 10.5. And that's all I wanted, was simplify it down to the tangent of 10.5. There's no need to factor anything, it's just the tangent of 10.5. Okay, last problem. We are going to find the sine of x over 2, the cosine of x over 2, and the tangent of x over 2, given the fact that the cosine of x, so the cosine of twice that angle, is negative 4 over 5. And we know that we're in what quadrant? Well, we know that we're in between 180 and 270. So we're in the third quadrant. We're somewhere down here. And I know that the cosine, which would be adjacent, so -4, hypotenuse of 5. So this is going to be a 3, 4, 5 triangle. That's one of our perfect Pythagorean triples. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started? I know that the sine of x over 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 minus a -4 over 5. That -4 over 5 came from this cosine up here. And in our formula, which is all the way back up here, it's 1 minus the cosine. Oh, and look at that. It even did not close up here. I mistyped this. I'm sorry. Okay, so once we simplify this down, it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 plus 4 over 5, which is the same as the square plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 9 over 10, or 9 over 5, which is the same as the plus or minus the square root of 9 over 10. Now, since 9 is a perfect square, I can go ahead and write this as 3 over the square root of 10 plus or minus. And now I need to figure out whether or not it's plus or minus. Well, I know that x is in between 180 and 270. So 1/2 of x, if I divide everything by 2, will it be in between 90, so x over 2, and 180. And 90 and 180 is in the second quadrant, so all students, so it'd be the sine. So I know the sine is positive, so the sine of 1/2 x is equal to 3 over the square root of 10. So that's my first one. Okay, and now if we scroll down a little bit more, we're going to do the cosine. So I know that the cosine of x over 2 is equal to, if we scroll back up, 1/2 of 1 plus the cosine of x. So the cosine's greedy, and it has itself in its own formula. So it'd be plus or minus the square root of 1/2 1 plus the cosine of x, which, remember, let's say this over and over again, is right-hand side is twice the size of the left-hand side. So this is going to be equal to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 minus 4 over 5, because adding a negative is the same as subtracting, which is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1/2 of 1 over 5, which is the same as plus or minus the square root of 1 over 10. And being that that isn't a perfect square, we're just going to leave it like that. But now we need to figure out what to do with this plus and minus. Well, if we scroll back up here to our little coordinate system, I see the fact that cosine isn't sine, so it's going to be negative in the second quadrant. So I'm going to choose the negative answer. So it'd be the negative square root of 1 over 10. And actually, 1 is a perfect square, so we can try this as -1 over the square root of 10. And for those of you who are going to be sticklers, it's the same thing as 1 over the negative square root of 10. I'm sure we all knew that. Okay, so get a nice, pretty boxed answer. The cosine of 1/2 x is equal to 1 over the negative square root of 10. Now last, we have tangent. We need to find the tangent of 1/2 x. Now the tangent of 1/2 x, or tangent of x over 2, is equal to those three formulas, or just like what we did last lesson in double angles, it's equal to the sine of x over 2 divided by the cosine of x over 2. And being I did so much work to find what those two values were, I'm just going to divide them to get what the tangent is. So the sine of x over 2 was 3 over root 10 positive, and the cosine of x over 2 was 1 over negative root 10. So to divide two fractions, I take the bottom and I flip it. So I write the top, and then I flip the bottom. It means they're multiplied, I can cancel these root 10s because they're the same. But I'm still keeping that negative over here, so it'd be negative 3 over 1, which is the same as negative 3, which is the correct answer. Okay, guys. Well, I will see you in class tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.